Hey guys, have you ever wanted to build your own PC? Well, today I'm going to show you how to build your own PC from scratch. And then in a later video I'm going to show you how to install Windows and get everything up and running. We will also have some benchmarks with this system right here. So enjoy! Let's start with the parts. I will put the parts over here and in the description as well. So we have our motherboard. It's a ASUS Prime A320MK micro ATX motherboard. 8 gigs of Corsair Vengeance LPX 2666 MHz RAM. A Ryzen 3 1300X. Sapphire Radeon R9 380X Nitro Edition 4 GB. An Intenso M.2 SSD SATA 240 gigs. A Western Digital Caviar 1 TB hard drive and a 500 watt Cooler Master power supply. And we'll be using the stock AMD heatsink, but this is not the Wraith Stealth, it's the Wraith Spire. And everything will be put together in this case, the Aerocool Bolt tempered glass RGB, which I will do a review on later on and we'll see how it performs with the thermals and airflow and the build quality, and if it's cutting my hands or arms open. And the tools we need for doing this is 1 tube of thermal paste, some zip ties, a cutter, and I will be using an iFixit kit. And for every part you see here, I only paid like 160 bucks for it. But let's get started. So let's start with our motherboard, unboxing it. So in the box comes the motherboard, a SATA cable, manuals, driver CD, and the screws for our M.2 drive, and the IO shield. So, for the perfect test setup is to use your motherboard box. So here we have it. So as you can see here, AMD is using these pins on the CPU, so be very delicate with it. Don't drop it. These are very sensitive. And now, to install the CPU, just lift this retention arm, push it down and a little bit to the side and up, all the way. When it comes to installing the CPU, you have this triangle here on the CPU itself, and you also have the little triangle on the motherboard socket. So aim the triangle to the other triangle. So let's sit it down. There we are. The retention arm. Push it down and clip it in. Now your CPU is installed. And for our cooler, we will remove these brackets because they are used for the older AMD coolers, and we just want And we just want this back plate. So it just unscrew them. And put them aside. Now we're going to apply some thermal paste. Then you just want to put a little bit, like a uncooked grain of rice. And time to install our cooler. Just sit it down. And now for our CPU cooler, you want to do a cross pattern, so it gets equally forced from all sides. And only enter them a little bit at start. Then when everyone is in, you can just go around and tighten them. So on the last screw, so now we'll tighten this one. And just do the same thing all over again. And when you're done, just feel it, it doesn't move, and then in direction, then it sits. And while we are still here at the socket, we can just tie up this fan cable and plug it in right away. Like this. And here we have the header for it, so just press it in and cut this one off. You can just put it like that, and now it sits nicely. So now let's move over to our M.2. Now you can see this tiny little screw. It will hold it down. This is a standoff. And here is our M.2 slot. So we take the standoff to this last one here. You can just use your fingers to screw it in. And there it is. And here we have our M.2 drive. Just insert it diagonally, like that. And set your screw on your magnetic screwdriver. Push it down to the standoff very gently and just enter the screw. And there it sits. So now let's move over to installing the RAM. I will be using both slots. Sometimes they want you to start with just one slot or one memory in it, but we are taking a guess here. You see, here is a notch on the DIMM slots, and we have a little notch right here on our RAM. So just line the notches up, so like that, and push it down till you hear a click, and then repeat it on the next one. So now the motherboard prep is done, so let's just plug everything in and see if it boots. Now for testing, we want to install our graphics card, and it's in this PCIe slot, and you just put it in until you hear a click, then it's locked. And now it's installed. So now I want to plug in every cable we need from our power supply. So first off, we need our 24 pin. It's going right in there. Just push it in until it clicks a little bit. And then we're going to need a 4 pin for our CPU. Just push it in until you hear a click. And 2 6 pins for our graphics card. Let's just push them in here. And you can see little LED there, which means it will get power. And you see these front panel connectors. You want to bridge them with a flat-headed screwdriver. Just like that. You see the fans turning. Let's see if this baby posts. And there it is. Our RAM is correctly detected. Our CPU is correctly detected. And there it is. So now we can power it down and start working on our case. And here we have our case. What I like to do, and it's tempered glass, I like to wear vinyl gloves so we don't put fingerprints on the glass. And take it off and store it somewhere safe, preferably back in the box it came with. And now let's take the other side panel off. And here we got a bag with accessories. Some standoffs, some more thumb screws, even radiator screws. Nice thing. And here we have all the front panel connectors and the power connector for our LED strip that is right here. And just push them behind the motherboard tray for now. So this case comes with one exhaust fan, but I'm going to exchange this for a red LED fan and put 3 fans in and put 3 fans in the front. So let's start unscrewing this one. And let's set the fan aside for now. So now let's slide in our hard drive right at the top here. Just slide it in and it sits. It is not coming out. So let's start with our standoffs. We need to install 2 more right here. And another one right here. Now let's take our I/O shield and install it. Just line it up and push it firmly. So with your I/O shield installed and all your standoffs, you want to grab your motherboard and set it in. Just line up everything. There it sits. With your motherboard lined up correctly, you want to take your screws and set them in a little bit. And now with all the screws in place, you just want to go around and tighten them up. And now the motherboard sits firmly. So now I will take a little different approach to this. I will actually install all the front panel connectors first before the power supply, just because it makes it easier. So let's start with a USB 3. It's gonna sit right here, so you cannot drag it through this hole. And just push it in until it clicks. And then we have our USB 2 header. It's going right beside it. So we're gonna take it through the same. And push it in. And our front panel audio connectors are going right here. So we're gonna take it through this one. And just push it in, like that. Front panel connectors. You might want to consult the manual for it and where they're going to sit. In this case, it will be right here. It is usually the place for them. So let's go and plug them in. So now all the front panel's connectors are in. So let's move on and installing some fans in this. So now let's install our front fans and our back fan. And now we can install our rear fan here. And it's right here we're going to install it, so we can take the now we take the cable and just plug it in. We can take the excess cable here and just squeeze it together like that to begin with, and take a cable tie and try to get it like that to start with. We'll fix that later on. That's just for now. So now we're going to install our power supply. So now we have a power supply here. We're going to mount it with a fan face down. Just slide it in. Let's secure it with our screws. And just go around a second time and make sure they are tied. So now we will do some cable management, and I like to always start with the front panel connectors. Just let's move the fans out of the way for now. Then I will take one of these smaller ones and just tie them together. Just like this for now. And now I want to route our cables. So we're going to start with a 24 pin. And then we know we want to try to get it through here. So let's just bring it in. Just like that, it's in. And then I would have liked to take the EPS power connectors through here, but I don't think it's possible, but let's try. No, it's too tight, I think. So we can't actually take them through here, so that's a bummer. So let's see if we can drag it along the top. So, since it didn't reach, I will use this extension cable, plug it in. So let's make this one on the side and take a zip tie and just drag them together. So since this motherboard only has two fan headers, one for the CPU and one for the rear fan, I will be using this Molex adapter to plug the other in. Just like that. Now we're going to plug in our hard drive. And just scuff it away for now. And don't be too hard with it because these SATA connectors are really sensitive. So now let's plug in our fan adapter to the Molex connector. Now for our graphics card, we want to route them just under the motherboard. So now let's install our graphics card. Just then just push it in. So now you want to take two screws and push it up so it lines up with these holes right here, and enter the screws. And now I'm going to plug in the GPU's power connectors. Just like that. And push these together nice and firm. And take a cable tie and just make them look like one cable. And it's done. The cable management in this case is absolutely horrible to deal with. So the only thing that remains now is to put the Last panel back on, and let's see if it starts again. Now let's peel this off. So, moment of truth. Let's see if she starts again. So that's it for this part. In the next part I will install Windows and benchmark this and see what it's capable of. And if you like this video, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more like this, and I'll see you guys next time.